So, a lot of students come into law after studying 5 years of law, or they always think of becoming a lawyer. But there are stories like yours which have seen a transition of career from one company. You were working in a steel company, if I remember. You've told me the story in the corridors of the Supreme Court. But what does a transition mid career really look like for a lawyer?
I always wanted to be a lawyer when I was in school, because that is because of my friend whose father was a judge and later on became the Chief Justice. So that's my only exposure to law. So when my school finished, I was about to take a history honors because I thought history honors and law will be ideal. So my father said, don't take history, go for science. If you want to study law, science will always help you in your analytical ability. So I ended up doing BSc chemistry honors. So after my chemistry honors, I got into law in Delhi University. And while I was in the first year, I qualified in Steel Authority of India Limited. Actually, a friend of mine said that this is the only examination where you can apply at 20. Everywhere else, you had to be 21. So this friend of mine, he ultimately went into the IAS. So he had brought two forms for Steel Authority of India Limited. It says it's only available for 16 rupees. Even SBI used to take 40 rupees at that point of time. So he said, I've got two. So he got that form. I filled up that form. Both of us sat for the exam. Both of us went for the interview. I qualified. Unfortunately, he didn't. He ultimately went in to become Steel Secretary. He went into IS and became Steel Secretary. Now, when I got into this service, I was still studying. I was still first year law. So I went and joined this place. My father said, you still have an option. After you finish your law, you can still take a call whether you want to continue here or you... Because law study was not taken that seriously at that point of time. So I went and joined service. I was in Durgapur steel plant. I didn't like the place. So in my very first month, I wrote a letter. In those days, you used to write letters to your parents. So I wrote a letter to my father. My sister has preserved it also somewhere. I said, I want to resign and come. I don't want to do this job. I want to continue my law. He says, don't resign because I had signed a bond. He said, you can come and, do your law and you can always take leave and do your law and then later on decide still what you want to do. So I applied for leave. As a trainee, there was no question of getting leave. I applied for leave and they kept sending letters to me to rejoin and I just ignoring those letters. So after 6-8 months, they terminated my service. So I forgot about it. I had a friend whose brother was a minister. He had just casually mentioned that he'll get me transferred to Delhi and I never took him seriously because as a trainee, Durgapur steel plant to be posted to Delhi was never, happening. One day I got a call. And then those days again, there used to be a landline in the Jubilee Hall where I used to stay. And I got a call saying that you have been posted to Delhi. So I didn't take that call seriously because I had already been terminated from service. So I went and met the director personnel whom he had told to, get me a posting to Delhi. If I remember the name, it was Mr. M.R.R. Nair. So he said, Vikas, when I sent my slip and I gave the reference, he said, Vikas, I have transferred you to Delhi. I said, sir, but my services have already been terminated. So he said, he actually put his hand on his head and he said, oh my God, you didn't tell me this. I said, I never thought that I'll ever be posted to Delhi. So in any case, with his indulgence, somehow he reinstated me in service, sent me back to Durgapur. And I started working in Steel Authority. As a young boy, when you start getting salary, it is also very nice. I worked for about 9 years in steel. 9 years down the line, when I was visiting Tirupati, if I remember correctly, it was October of 89. That was my first visit to Tirupati. I somehow got an inspiration there that what am I doing all over this country. Then I was posted in Calcutta. And I decided now I'm going to pack up and go to Delhi. I just packed up my stuff and came to Delhi. And I went to Mr. L.R. Singh, who was my lawyer when I had come to him for a family case of ours. We had a land in Sitamarhi and I had engaged him. That was my only association with him. So I said, I want to join. He said, you're most welcome. So I had taken leave and I joined his office in November of 89. For 6 months, I worked there and I tried to familiarize myself with law because for these 9 years, I had been completely away from law and I had nothing to do with law. And getting back into law was itself a very daunting feeling that whether I'll be able to, feel myself comfortable doing what lawyers do and whether I'll be able to cope with the rest of the lawyers or not. And 6 months I got that confidence. So I went and resigned in June of 1990. And then July of 1990 was the reopening day in Supreme Court when when I had come to, I had enrolled myself in Patna and I came to Supreme Court after my enrollment, and I told my senior, when I used to participate in elocution in school, my leg used to shake, so I don't know whether I'll be able to argue. So he gave me three matters to argue on the very first day after my enrollment and the first day of Supreme Court. Now, I sometimes, wonder how did he get that confidence to give me three cases to argue? I don't think anybody can claim to have argued three cases in Supreme Court on the very first day of his enrollment. He got that confidence because the kind of work that I did with him, the kind of research that I did with him. I remember the Kashi Vishwanath takeover temple case was being handled by him. I used to go with him to brief Mr. P.P. Rao. And that hearing had to happen after the vacation. We had briefed him a couple of times. So I had gone to my village and I had taken all the books on Article 25 and 26 with me. Each judgment was 300-400 pages, all constitution bench judgments, and I read all of them to see how that those judgments will help me in this Kashi Vishwanath case. Now, that was not my mandate. I was just a junior. I was not even a junior. I was not even a lawyer. I was just doing research for Mr. L.R. Singh. And when I went with him for the conference and the kind of research that I had done and the way I could speak during the conference, he realized that I have done that extra bit, which gave him that confidence to, give me those matters. That was, of course, one case. There was many such cases. I used to do drafting also for him without being a lawyer, and he realized that I had that instinct to be a lawyer. And so it was a dream start for me, and I slowly I started getting cases of my own. I didn't take any salary from him, but he used to always refer some cases to me, which I used to do on my own. But what youngsters don't understand today is that the hard work that you put in this profession definitely gets noticed. And the way to progress in litigation is a very slow progress. Unfortunately, our children of today want to run very fast, and that doesn't happen in this profession. But if you are ready to work hard, if you are ready to slog, there is reward coming. It definitely gets noticed. Your background, your pedigree doesn't matter. You need not be the son of a judge. You need not be the son of a big lawyer. If you're ready to work hard, there are people in the system who notice you. For instance, when I was working with Mr. L.R. Singh, some of his friends, who had a lot of matters, they used to give me matters to draft and sometimes even argue. And Mr. L.R. Singh, he gave me regularly all his matters to argue. So that helped me in becoming a senior also very fast. That helped me in getting the position of the ASG also in 14 years of practice. So I think people don't realize this part of initial years of a lawyer. They see the successful part of the lawyer without realizing that what toil and hard work has gone in for getting into that success.